All right. Right. Sinnemzog dishaka qibla gaj. Mirjantish qopsacher noba shaqwago yechan remachos. It's November 6th. We're here in our Circassian TPRS class. Craig, I'm going to teach you a sentence that is going to be near and dear to your heart. Okay. TPRS melgum khodas. TPRS is like magic.
Oh.
TPRS is like magic. A lot of people are very excited. Actually, it's fortuitous you're here. Offline, we can talk about this. A couple of people, as you know, a lot of people in this class, English is not their first language. So several people have asked if there are English TPRS classes that they can find a way to get into. So that there's a lot of demand. We've made the method popular among this group of people. So they're wondering about that. And I sent
What's
you an email.
What's their first language?
Turkish.
Yeah, I saw that. What was the first language?
Turkish.
Yeah, so we have 4 Turkish teachers who are getting trained, and it's better if they have the same L1 as you. It'll be the best if they have the same L1. So I will reach out to them and give you their names.
Okay, awesome. That would be great. That would be great. Okay, so let's do a quick review of all the stuff we've learned to date in this lesson. All right. We're not going to do the formal class, sit, all that. I'm just do a review before we kind of launch into the formal TPRS method. Okay, so Mirsales, Salim Yitzer, Osmans, Salim Yitzer, Osmans, Salim Yitzer, Jantiqam, Salim Yitzer, Osmans, Sasitzer, Jantish, Sasales, Sasachajabskum, Zazamiza Sorobach, Sasa Terminatorkum, Sasashalas, Yerobat, Achadokwa, Machabarum in this story, Machabarum, Egyptu, Shajiz, Mahukam, Jashkum, Shahashhakum, Egyptu, Shajiz. Westman, قالم شأش. دنا وسمان شأ. وسمان قالم شأش. وسمان قواج شأ. حوا. وسمان قالم شأش. نوب شأش. نوب شأش. خوابقم. خوابقم. شأش. نوب شأش. وسمان Psichotha. Okay, so that's where we are in the story. I just want to spend a minute or two, and I want to go around in the class, and I want each of you to, this is my term, I want you to walk around the story. Okay, I want you to walk around the story. You can tell me, got it, Craig. You can tell me what you think is going on. You can tell me things that are in the story. You can think of things that are logical, even if we haven't said them. Okay. But I just want each of you to just spend a minute or two. You can flip back and forth in these slides. I'm going to share these slides. Make sure you guys all have the link here. And then I just want each of you to spend a minute or two giving me 1 or 2 sentences to describe the story. Okay. So let's start with Hamza. وبسافة زغور قجاء مخبارم تيخواوا.
Okay. Egyptu بشجس. عثمان شالا قوا عالم شاش. نوبة نوبة شاش. عثمان يقالم. Flip through.
أريد قنش فددو داخل تقوب صوري جباش حمي أبصوص قش. That's fine. That's fine. That's perfect. Satanai is hack.
عثمان. So I just make up sentences.
Yeah, just tell me in your own words, just tell me something about this story. Walk around the story a little bit. Give me some information in your own words, whatever you're comfortable saying.
عثمان جوزافارويا. عثمان بسيأقم. عثمان بسخوش.
ضده دغوا ضد الشبخ دغوا ضد جباش. ألبرت شامل.
ايش انت؟
ايه قبلا غلط يقوش.
وبصو.
زغوروي بسالتشا. زغوروي بسالتشا. Something in your words. زغوروي بسالتشا. مخبارم the story. مخبارم قد جاء. Tell us. زغوروي بسالتشا. مخبارم قد جاء.
Okay. Un momento.
Un momento, por favore.
Okay. Michal Yitzer Osmanch.
دنا الشقة مش عالم.
قالن شاش.
قالن شاش.
قالن شاش. What else we got?
عالم زغوروي.
Yeah, pseuquis.
كويس.
Pseuquis.
نوبة ست خود معخوة. خوابة حمش شقة.
Oh, شاش أبديجن. Osman شاش.
عثمان شقش.
Yeah.
فددش تقوش. فددش.
Okay.
I'm just gonna give you one quick correction on grammar. And normally I don't correct grammar, but this is actually something that a lot of Circassians struggle with. So I'm going to give you a lot of complexity in 10 seconds. All right. But I'm going to make it simple. Circassian is an ergative language. Only about 15% of human languages are ergative languages. What that means is that we use direct objects and indirect objects differently. We use direct objects and indirect objects differently than English does. And so what you said in the beginning was shalir yitzar. Okay. So what the correct usage is shalim yitzar. Right. And so here is 200 pages of ergative grammar in 2 sentences. If the subject of the noun is doing a transitive verb action, you end it in im. Right? So to have a name, it's a transitive verb. So we say shalim, shalim. But then if I ask you, where is the boy? Shalir dana sha'a. The boy is not doing anything. So I go back to Okay. There's other rules too, but that's a simple one. I hear a lot of that mistake. Now, you're not going to be able to apply that rule while you're speaking. As you're reading, you can process that. Okay?
Okay.
Yemiz. Zagwaru psatcha mkhabaram tiwawa qja'a. Zagwar wipsatcha, something in your words. Mkhabaram, the story. Tiwawa, about. Qja'a, tell us.
Okay. Abitzer Osmansh. Arab Sekhwasha. Noba Shash. You want more?
Osman dana sha'a.
Osman Qalam Shash.
قالم شاش وبصوت قش.
Obsosh.
والحاء. داوشت.
أرزنا شوي داوشت. وبسو.
الحمد لله سريسة خرزنش. زقور ما خبارن تيوخواوا قد جاء ويبسافتشا.
عثمان جالش عثمان قالم شاش
Mhm.
عثمان بسخواته عرب بسكويش
Mhm.
قالم يجبستو بشجيش
فددش زفتشاش فددش تقوش داغو دد داخل تسوكو جباشوا داخل تسوكو جباشوا Aliyah, I know this is your first time with us, so welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Have you been watching our YouTube videos about this story?
Yes, I have checked a few of them, not all of them, but I more or less know the concept.
Do you feel comfortable saying a few words about this story in Circassian?
I may try.
Please try. Please try.
Okay. Egypt's Shajish Osman Psikwaba how do I say once? Just
Quiz.
Kwesh. Our
Dago didda, dago tsuku jibash. Bravo. Bravo, Aliyah. Burak.
ست
Daoshit noba.
صفش وداوشت
Sarisa kharzanish wupso. Wasn't shagasi ash. Achsha doxasi jipam yelch. Shaqwa doxasi anam telch. Sasa wanagos. Zrikwa chamkam sasi dishcha. Makhabaram tehuawa zagwara ja'a wipsachacha.
شعلم يتسر وثمانش وثمان نالشك شأش عثمان جوزابوغ يأش وثمان
Sitchacha guzavaria.
وثمان بسخوتله
Psikhotla. Pej. Wupso. Wupso Burak. Lalina. Как дела? Хорошо. What is agora ja'a makhabaram tehuawa?
Шалмитер Османш Осман Аркалем Шаш
Guzavaria. Сичпа?
Осман Гозаваго Аш.
Dago didda dishok. Dago didda. Dacho tsuku jibash. Dacho tsuku jibash. Satanai hubrak. Daoshit.
Alhamdulillah. Wadaoshit.
Sarisa kharzanish wupso. Makhabaram tehuawa. Wipsachacha. Zagwar ja'a.
عثمان شعارش أرقالم شاش يجب ستوب شريتش عثمان خواش oh my god خواشة okay هوا بسه يعقب
Bravo. Dago jibash. Kamal. Iblaga de qosh disha. Daoshit noba.
عايزينش السلام عليكم بسومي سلام فزوخ ست فقودة
Alhamdulillah takharzin. This is about 10 hours of class time and Satlafra. Situ sigwap amok da di yejako kum somi apodizo da kum apsatlafra. Sigwapas wakakojan noba. Shacha. Mr. Our brother in California, you have a beautiful name, but I forget it. With the A hat on. I think you're muted. Cannot hear you.
Etuzep salary jaja izer.
Yitzar zaratetu janti emissus. Yitzar pajdidus zgopsas. Majdi. Yeah, Majdi. Aras.
Majdi.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back to you. Beqan, Tamirqan.
Sid.
فداو في الشتخة.
تهرزنا.
فدنا في الشش.
تفش. نايتشك تفش.
How arpts? Arps argoro wiyadem yewups. Anshue. Nakhtash did the quaza qabrday bath harium sus. Zoma nalshik nalshitri dakos. Our Anshue nachtishas. Atsa. Zagor fi psatcha qad jaa makhbarum tehuawa.
Osman pse wish. Our
Yaqam.
Noba pshadish.
Noma pshajish.
Osman pse wish. Our young.
Yaqam.
Osman shash.
Dana sha'awas. عالم شقة. عالم شقاش. برافو دي قوشت الشقة. برافو دغج بقاش. لماذا؟ داوشت نو بديش دي شو.
خرزنش. فداوشت.
الحمد لله دريد الخرزنش. مخبارم تيوخواوا. زغور ويبساتشا قد جاء قاء.
Mırjalem Yiğiter Osmanç Har Nalçık Çiaş Mübdejim Nicipstu Pşahaşha Dane Jiaş.
Dahu Japa. Sorry, Dahu Japash. You said everything beautifully. Our mechabarim, but in the story, Egypt's too pshajiz, it's morning. Wazar jab'ar pshahashhash, evening. Our psori dakhatsuku tamamu, disu jabash. You said everything beautifully. Thank you. Tamu yaqapso. Musa tiqash.
Sit.
Dawo shit tiqash.
Sif kharzinas fadaw shit.
سيقول ده خرزنا شو بسوا بس ودنا وشقة ومشينا مويسرة
لا مشينا جوز زوقة
خنشتا زجور مخبارم تيوخواوا قد جاء قا
هاي مش عالم يزر عثمان قالم دس قالم شأس نيجي بشدجيش رأس عثمان بسكوت لهوا بسي يعقب
ستو داخو جبادي قش تحمي غبصو فتنا جا مستا زالي يجاك شش راسي يسرت مخبار متيفوا وبسومي مست عارف نلقونرا شسلاغر
نتا
تاو شتي شبخ
سيرس خارزناش وبسو وزنشس داوشت
داري دوزنشس الحمد لله شكورتشا مست We ورسبزة ديرسر داو قش داو زرخور. How are your Russian classes going?
Нет плохо.
Неплохо. Хорошо,
bad.
хорошо.
Хорошо.
Я думаю, ты
Спасибо.
знаешь, я тоже говорю немного по-русски. I also speak
My
Russian.
Russian is not good.
Хонч, заваш анш, заваш анш. Ача, we псахача, мхабаром tehуава, згор кджаа.
Jale Yitzer Osmanş Osman psi hoşla Osman psi hoş Awe nobe Osman psi yakım nobe şaş. How can I say Osman is cold today?
Osman شأم يس.
Osman şam yish. Nobe.
Даха цоко жпаш псори. So,
Osman mepus'a. Arikuna.
Sıçpa.
Osman mepus'a.
Mabisha?
Yani he is cold. He is cold.
Mabisha.
He's feeling cold.
He's feeling cold.
He's feeling cold. Yes, he's feeling cold.
I-
Sopus'a. Upus'a. Sopus'a.
Sopus'us. Noba.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So that works too. That works too. Okay. So,
is
I'm sorry?
severe cold.
قصدي أجت قش.
Sha'am yes is suffering from severe cold, but Mabisha is feeling cold.
Feeling cold. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for this additional information.
Yeah.
So this is a recap of where we've gone so far, right? We've gone through this.
Let Hamza speak.
Oh, no, Hamza, whoopsatha.
Subsatha.
Yeah, he was the first one. I think he spoke, Kamal, when you were connecting with the audio.
Because he's a friend of my he's a son of my late friend.
Dunirtsuks. The world is small.
American subsoiji. Alaka Hamza.
Saudi mabso. So again, where are we in the story? Mirsalas, Salem Yitzer, Wasmansh, Yijipstu, Pshadjish, Wasman Kalem Shash, Nobas Ash, Wasman Psihosha, Wasman Sheikh Wesh, Wasman Shey Akam. Now, remember from our last class, there is a difference between this word, sa'a, sa'a, and this word, sha'a, sha'a, right? Sha'a means he's in. This prefix, sh, anytime you see this prefix, 99% of the time, it shows a time or a place. Okay, it shows a time or a place. When you see it as a prefix, and we say it, sh, sh, sh. This one is a harder, it's not a prefix. Not a prefix. The word, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not a prefix. It means it's cold. It's a harder version, right? This one is sha'a, sha'a. This one is sa'a, sa'a. It's a harder sound. Is anybody not hearing the difference between these two sounds?
Very slight.
They are slight, but can you hear the difference between them?
I can't make out too much of a difference unless I really concentrate.
Okay, you'll build an ear for it. You'll build an ear for it. Okay, but these are very different words. Okay. Achadokwa. Class.
Sit.
Coffee fifa, fafajera. Yeah, nakwab jukaja. Class.
Sit.
Wasman shapa makwa. واسمان شابة ماكوا شابة ماكوا واسمان يجابم قرا هوا واسمان ديزني لاندم قرا هوا واسمان شابم حما يجابم قرا شابم واسمان شابم ماكوا واسمان شابم ماكوا class
Sit.
واسمان شقشتا واسمان شقشتا واسمان اخشقشتا هوا واسمان كوفيد قشتا هوا ست واسمان قشتر
شيء
شي انت Satanai. So we're going to go around. I want each of you to tell me that you are going to a place. You can think of any place, okay? So I want to hear you practice this here. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing for a little bit. So, Satanai.
Which one?
It's hak. Satanai is hak. Noba dana wukora.
Sa tampam sa sokwa.
Wanoba tampa wukora. Wokwa. Tampa zija hama pauganau will be dej. Pauganau. Jacksonville mra, Tampa mra, pauganau hama zija. Pauganau. Jacksonville is close to Tampa?
Sahach.
Sahatish.
Machinam.
Sahatish machinam cha.
Sahatish machinam.
Machinam cha. What we deshta? Ar pauganau. That's close for you? 3 hours?
Yeah.
Kunsta. Aliyah.
That's
Dana wukwano, one noba dana wukwa.
Noba nipshakam.
Noba si nibzawum yadej sokwa.
Okay, that's more complicated. Noba si nipshakam dish sokwa.
Dawa. Si nibzawum yadej sokwa. Sitch hacha.
Stratum.
Psarkum punch. Sit shore. Jasham, Mahwam. Shahasham. Fedidash. Whopso. Dahu jipash, sorry. Albert. Noba dana wukwano.
Such Noba Tequanum Saquanos.
Tequanum. Sit kwa de tequan.
Skin Tequan groceries.
Shin shash tequan. Hunch. Sit hacha.
Skinu Sequesh.
Shin wuchwesh. Shin kapshuchunos. You're gonna buy food. Sit shua wukwano.
Noba Sahat Tom.
Sahat wukwans. Okay. Qiji ajit. Tell me again. Dana wukwano.
Sa Noba Sahatum Sat Tequanum Saquanos.
فايش وجبار الحا داوشت
حزنس
وبسوخوي
انت
بسوي
انت
بسوي اش نوبا زشبو وقوانو Noba zasipawuk ono. Did you understand the question?
You asking me, are you going somewhere now?
Today, Noba. Noba,
Hawa. Noba.
Hawa, zashipi ziri wukukum. Okay, so if you say, I'm not going anywhere, you can say, zashipa ziri sipwukum. Yeah. Circassian verbs can be very complex. And this is version 2.0 of our contents. I'm working on version 3.0. Zali, when we meet later on today, I'll show it to you. I'm working on version 3.0 where I'm going to put a lot, because the way these materials were built, they were built around English and Romance languages. So it's very easy. But in Circassian, there's lots of complexity around verbs. So that's why some of the questions I'm asking you, sometimes it's hard to understand because it's not exactly the way you see what's on the screen. Ziwar, you have a question?
Yes. I was wondering, sorry, how we can say before and after? Like I'm going there after an hour, or before I was there before an hour.
So there's a couple of different ways you can say that. It kind of depends on the context, but as a general rule, you can say yipacha to mean before, yipacha, and you can say yuwuzcha for after. And
okay, if we took Albert's example,
I'm gonna,
like,
you know what? This is a great question. So I'm gonna spell it out here. So here, to say before, hang on. Okay, so this is actually really easy to remember. Okay, give me a second. I'm sorry. Okay, who knows what the word for nose is in Circassian?
Huh.
Pa also means the front. Pa means nose. Pa also means front. And if you think about it, our nose is the front of our whole body, right? So when you say before, what you're saying is, yeah, it's, right? Because yeah, remember, means his, her, or its, right? So yeah, pa, its front, cha, by way of its front. So when we say something is before, it's by way of the front. Okay. When we say yuwuj, it's the same exact, I'm sorry, yuwuj. It's the same exact thing. Yeah, his, her, or its, okay. Wuj means end. And then cha means by way of the end. So by way of the beginning means before, and by way of the end means after.
okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Francie?
In a difficult way.
I'm sorry. Yipacha. Thank you. The reason I teach using this is you get to learn 2 words, but you actually get to learn 4 words, because you learn the word for before, you learn the word for after, but then you learn the word pa, and you learn the word wuj, and then you also learn a little bit of grammar about cha. Was that overly complex, or was that helpful, Ziwar?
No, that's really exactly the way I wouldn't even ask, and in a better way. Like as you mentioned, you are explaining the too many words while we are learning the grammar at the same time.
Okay, cool.
But how we would put it in a sentence, like I'm going there after an hour.
So that's a different, like I said, there's a couple different ways you can say it's context
Okay.
specific.
So
So you would
here
say,
maybe in directions we are mentioning.
no, when you use
Before and
time,
after?
it's not really about directions. If it's abstract, you know, before that, after that, you're not
Okay.
referencing any specific times. You're just saying in general, you know, right now I'm going to eat. After that, I will go someplace. You're not referencing a specific amount of time. You're just talking about the order. If you want to use a specific amount of time, okay, what you would say is, for example, zisahat dachma. Okay, so what you would say is in 1 hour. Wait, sahat, sorry. Zisahat dachma. In 1 hour, whatever you're going to do, right? And what this is saying is, z is 1. We know the word for 1. Sahat means hour, or it means clock. It's interchangeable. Okay. Zisahat, 1 hour. Dachma. Okay. Dach, dachin means to go out of. This is just how we say it in Circassian. So, wunum sadachash. I went out of the house. Zisahat dachma. When 1 hour goes out. Think of it as like an hourglass. When 1 hour goes out of the glass, right? In 1 hour, I'm going to go someplace. Now, Ziwar, let me ask you. In 1 hour. You tell me, how would we say in 2 hours?
Ush, sahat.
I'm going to ask Satanai Ishaq because she used this grammatical structure just a minute ago. You want to take Satanai Ishaq? You want to take a shot at this? How would you say in 2 hours?
sahat dachma.
Okay. So remember,
Sahatit.
Sahatit. Correct. So remember, in Circassian, for the number 1, we always say z, right? So if you have one brother, sa zakosh si ash, or if you're a girl, sa zadelch si ash, right? If you have one car, sa zamushina si ash. For numbers 2 through 10, we take the number and we turn it into a suffix that goes to the end of the noun. Okay? So, u, sahatit, sh, sahatish, ch, sahatik, tw, sahatit, ch, sahatich, bl, sahatib, ye, sahati, bro, sahatibr, ps, sahatips. Okay. We'll get into numbers at once. You're going to confuse them. All the research shows that there's a lot of research that shows if you learn like all the days of the week in one day, you're going to confuse Monday with Wednesday and Tuesday. If you learn the word for fork and spoon and knife all together, you're going to confuse fork and spoon and knife. It's called language interference. So we will get into numbers in this course, but I don't want to get it too deep today. But I do want you guys to know, because I know a lot of you know basic numbers. For numbers 2 through 10, we take the number and we make it a suffix that goes to the end of the noun. Okay? Cool.
Thanks a lot.
So is. All right. Where were we? Who was I talking to? I think I talked to Albert, right? That was the last person I talked to?
No.
Ziwar, I thought.
Ziwar. Okay, Ziwar. Sorry, that's who asked the question too. Okay. Burak.
Sit.
Then was
I couldn't hear.
Then was
قيصر سشأش
قيصر والشقش. نوبة زشبة وقونو.
نوبة سوبر ماركتم سوقة
نوبة سوبر ماركت وقوا. خنش فددش. لالينا.
ست.
ونوبة يجابو وقونو. هوا. نوبة شبتش.
We
Then
still
the
go
one-
to school on Saturdays.
Say again.
We still go to school on Saturdays.
Really? I didn't know that. Arashi zshipu wukwono noba.
How it just to jash the jipaziri sokokum.
Sequonokum.
Sokonokum.
Fedidu wapsasha. Mist Lalina, now chicken shish. Zazamiza fa adigabzicha fa psashara. Hamana nachibam what is sibzicha fa psashara. Вообще ты говоришь по-русски или по-кабардинским?
Я на русском разговариваю. Кабардинский я вообще не знаю.
Что я думал? How long have you been in Nalchik now?
2 years.
2 years. When you came to Nalchik, did you speak Circassian?
No.
How have you taken any classes or courses or anything to learn Circassian in Nalchik?
No.
So this class, is it a big portion of your learning so far?
Yes.
Really? You're speaking very well. Honestly, I thought that you had some basis in the language or that you had taken some other classes, but you're doing very well. So, congratulations. Satanai, hubrak.
سدوحة الشعر
دوحة والشقش. دنا وشش.
سيردنم إيش
ويردنم وشش. نوبة زشبة وقوانو.
my friend سقوة
Okay.
My friend, how do I say?
So this is the second time it came up, so I'm going to spell this for you guys. By the way, is there anyone here who feels very uncomfortable with Cyrillic? Is there anyone here who feels very uncomfortable with Cyrillic? Okay, so it's easier and faster for me to just spell things in Circassian and not go back and do the pronunciation. So if you want to write notes, that's fine. But from here on out, I'm still going to make all the lessons. I'll make all the lessons with the transliteration. And remember, this is the official Circassian alphabet. This is not a second alphabet. This is just a transliteration. There's only one alphabet. Okay. So I'll make all the slides with transliteration, but when I do explanations, you can take notes in whatever script you want, but I'm going to just use Circassian because it's easier and faster. Is everybody okay with that? And then you can take notes however you want. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. So I heard two people now want to say this, and I think this is a very useful phrase. So let me give it to you. Okay. Whoop. I'm still learning how to type on the keyboard. I feel like I have to look at every key. So, okay. So the way we say this, sa, si. So this means sa is I, si means my. And when we speak in Circassian, if you're speaking formally, you're always going to say sa si. Sasianum sopsathan, right? Now, if you want to speak quickly, you can just say si. Both, you'll hear people say it both ways. Both are fine, okay? Now, the word for friend is nibzo. Nibzo, okay? Who knows what the word for age is?
Nibs.
Nibs. Nibs, okay? So the word for age is nibs. Who remembers what the suffix wa or awa means?
It
Does
means
anybody
time.
remember? Say it again.
Time, like time.
Time, correct. Time. So when we see the suffix wa or awa, it means time. Okay, so when my kids go to sleep at night, I say wathin to sleep. The time of sleeping has come. Right? So when we say friend, it's age, time of. It's people who have the same time of your age. Nibzoch. And then because you're saying there's more than one, because you're saying it's more than one, we add the ch, nibzoch. And then because you're doing something with them, we add the nibzochim.
There is an English word for that, peers.
Peers, yes. Peers, yes. Thank you, Kamal.
Those of my age.
Yes, peers or contemporaries. And what's interesting about Circassian, because we don't have as rich a literary history as some other languages, many of our words can have multiple meanings. I'll give you an example besides this one. There's a word, shukwa. Shukwa. Shukwa means representative. Shukwa means spokesperson. If you've ever read the Quran in Kabardian, it means Rasul, right? So these are three kind of different meanings, but this one word, shukwa, has all those definitions. So nibzoch, it could be your peer, it could be your contemporary, it could be your friend. Okay. And then who remembers what dej means? Albert, you know this word.
There.
The vicinity.
Okay.
It literally means the air, the vicinity. Vicinity. Okay. And then ya, who knows what ya means?
There.
There. There. So sasi, my, nibzochem, peers, friends, yadej, by them, sokwa, I am going.
I am going.
I am going in the present tense. I am going. Okay. Sasi nibzochem yadej sokwa. Okay.
I have a question.
Please, yes.
Yeah, as I understand, this is plural. How do you say if it's just one person? Like you're going to visit one friend.
One friend? Very easy. Sha is how you make anything plural in Circassian. No exceptions. No exceptions. Very regular. So if you want to say one friend, you just take out sha, sasi nibzochem, but then it's not there. It's one person. Yidij sokwa. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go out into breakout rooms now. Okay. And I had a really, really good piece of feedback in, I see questions. I'll answer the questions. I had a really good piece of feedback in the Wednesday class. And the feedback was to model what you should be doing in the breakout rooms. Okay. So I'm going to model what you should be doing in the breakout rooms. Right now I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, but we're going to use this page, right? So this is page 6. Again, I'll drop it into the chat to make sure you guys all have it. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. We have 19 participants. Kamal, just so that I make sure you know, and also we have Aliyah who's new. What we try to do is break out 3 people to a room, okay? And by having 3 people in a room, we can have 2 people listening. I'm sorry, 2 people speaking and a 3rd person listening, because listening is a skill as well. If you have a question, if you struggle, any of you can help one another, right? Whether it's pronunciation or this or that. I see a lot of that, and that's a great, great thing in my opinion, all right? What I'd like you to do is in this story, okay, on this page, I want one of you to read a statement, and I want the second person who's speaking to ask a question based on that statement, okay? So it'll be question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And you guys can decide what order of your 2 or 3 people to do it. But the point is, when you're reading a statement, you can cheat and just read what's on the screen. When you ask a question, though, you have to construct a question on the fly based on the information that's on the screen, because there are no questions on the screen. So you're going to have to construct the question in your own head. I'll give you an example. Zalina still with us? Yeah, I see. So Zali and I will model this for you in just a minute. But first, I see Yamiz has a question, and I want to make sure that I'm answering his question.
Just real quick. So sokwa going now, present, and sakwano going like I want to go.
Okay. Now I want to go. So this is another thing. In the 3.0 materials, you're going to see this. In the 2.0 materials that we have here, and in the original 1.0 materials, the teacher group that I'm a part of, Zali is a part of it. I'm the only non-native speaker in the group. Don't worry, we have very qualified people in the group. We had a discussion about whether we wanted to introduce verb tense. And there's 2 things that I'm noticing in these classes. The first one is that as long as we break things down and keep repeating them, you guys can absorb it all. Like, I'm very impressed and very surprised at how well you guys are doing at absorbing this content. And what I'm seeing is complexity is not the problem. The solution, whether it's simple or complex, the solution is for us to just break it down piece by piece, make sure you understand it, and then give you a chance to speak it as well. So that's one thing we're seeing, and we're going to address that in the 3.0 materials, which I'm hoping we can start using next week. The other thing is that with verbs, because verb conjugation is so, there's some aspects of verbs that are a little complicated, but in terms of verb tense, it's super simple. And I'll tell you guys the rules right now. I'm just going to give you 3 basic verb tenses, okay? And then I'm going to give you 2 more, but you're going to see it's easy. Sasokwa, I go. I go, I am going, I go. Okay, sasokwa. I'm going to go. Sa sekwanos. Now, we changed it. Don't worry about notes or anything like that. We changed the prefix. You know, it changes a little bit. Sasokwa, sasekwan ush. So to put anything in the future tense, there is changes in these. They're called pronounal prefixes. There are changes in these pronounal prefixes, and you've just got to learn them. But anything that goes into the future tense, sekwanos, ush, it goes anush, right? Anything that we say in the past tense, sekwash,
Squash.
sekwash, okay? Sokwa, sekwash, sokwa, sekwanos. Jezoa, I say, I am saying. Jezoa, jisash. Jezoa, jisanos. Okay. Now, I've shared this in a previous class, but I'm going to share this with you guys again. Whoops. If you are,
Janti,
yes.
Janti, sorry, I'm not available because of driving. Please don't me. Okay.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. See you.
See you. If you are interested, I just shared a link to about 500 verbs that are fully conjugated in all forms. All the prefixes, all the suffixes. Let me just, this is a very valuable resource, so I'm going to share my screen for a moment. Okay. It's going to take a moment to load. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys can share this. It's open source. It's free to everybody to use, right? So let me, well, the first, they're alphabetical. So the first one is bahwasun, to make a kiss, literally to make a kiss or to kiss, right? So the way that all these tables, I'll just do one verb. The way all these tables are structured, sa, ba, and then there's this pronounal prefix, huzo, s, huzo, s, wa, you, ba, hub, hubo, s, right? So this is I do it, sa, wa, you plural, ab, he, she, or it. Now, it's actually him, her, or it, because any transitive verb, you use ab. If it's not a transitive verb, it's ar. Okay. The, we, fa, you plural, abichem, them. Right. So that's how you read the table. Sa, ba, huzos, wa, ba, hubos, ab, ba, hues. You want to put it into the future tense now? Or so the way you do it here, past tense, this is just the verb root. Past tense, ba, hues, ash. Sa, ba, hues, anush. Future tense. So I break it apart, and then because maybe breaking apart is not helpful, I put it back together. So in the future tense and the present tense, you can see sa, ba, huzos, wa, ba, hubos, ab, ba, hues. In the past tense, sa, ba, huesas. In the future tense, sa, ba, huesanos. And then, because question forms take a different form of the verb, I ask the question form, chat ba, zechwapsher, singular, you singular, zimi ba, huesem, also singular, I. Okay. Now, this is just a resource. Let me be super clear. Do not try to memorize these. This is a resource for reference. I guarantee you, if you try to memorize these, or you say, if you go through all that stuff, your brain's going to turn to pudding, right? It's like trying to memorize a dictionary. It's a resource in case you ever run into any issues. You can download this as Excel, right? And then you can just search. It's in English, Circassian, and Russian. So you can just search for any verb. There's about 500 of them here. And I have a little picture for each one as well. Okay. All right. So let's, yes.
I have a quick question. So if I wanted to ask someone, where are you going? I would say, Dana wuwocha.
No. Dana wukwanu.
Dana wukwanu.
Dana wukwanu. Yeah. There is complexity around verbs. There is complexity around verbs. Sichapa, Kamal?
Dana was dakor.
Dana was dakor. Dana wukura.
Prefix here.
Yeah. Dana was dakor. Dana wukura. There's a lot of ways you can say it. And it's a little too complex for right now. And Kamal, some of the things, and I'm going to say this because I know other people watch this, some of the things that we say here, they're not grammatically incorrect, but it's not exactly how native speakers speak, because I'm trying to build the complexity over time. So Dana was dakor as an example. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. Ziwar, did you still have a question?
No, sorry, it's just hanging there.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to share my screen again. And then Zalina, why don't you and I just model very quickly what we're going to ask these students to do? Okay, we'll just do this real quick. So I'll say the first statement, and then you can ask me a question. Okay, so I'm going to say, Mirs Alas.
Sorry, Janti, do you want me to ask if it's a boy or a girl?
Whatever you want. You can ask any
Okay.
question you want.
Khatmer, Janti, Mirkhat.
Mirs Alas. So you see, class, I read the first statement, and then Zali asked me a question using the words on the page. She can think of any question she wants. Okay, but now, Zali, I want you to read the second sentence, and I will ask you a question.
Shalim yitzar asmanch.
Shalim sit yitzar.
Shalim yitzar wasmanch.
So I could have asked her, wasman shala hama khajabs. I could have asked her, wasman khajabs. I can ask her anything I want, but the point is, I want you guys to go back and forth, okay? It'll make more sense when you do it. One person is going to read the sentence. So person A reads the sentence. Person B thinks of a question and asks that question to person A. Person A answers, okay? Then we switch. Person B is going to read the next sentence. Person A will ask a question, person B will answer, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. I'm going to give you guys 10 or 15 minutes for this, and I'm going to drop into the classes. I'll drop into the rooms. I'll be mostly on mute with the video off. I'm there to observe what challenges you guys have, because it helps me understand what grammatical features or pronunciation features I should accentuate in these classes, okay? Is anybody not clear on what we're about to do? Okay, so there are 18 of us, so I will drop you guys into 6 rooms. So let's see. And I'm going to give you 10 or 15 minutes, because this is going to, I really want you guys to practice. And by the way, I don't want anybody saying I'm done and then switching into English or Turkish or Arabic. You can speak English, Turkish, and Arabic any time of the day. This is not the time to do it. If you think you're done, do it again. All right. The only time you're done is if you can close your eyes without any mistakes and say everything on the page. I don't think anyone's there yet. So you're not done. No chit-chatting, guys. All right. I'll see you guys in 10 or 15 minutes. Wow, I think you guys were done with the rooms, because when you guys are having a good time, when I hit end, you guys all wait until that 60th the last minute. But this time I hit end and you guys all came. You guys all came.
Actually, we were kicked from our room.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yes. We were hoping for those 6.
Then they kicked us out, Tyler.
Really? Okay, because usually Zoom says, you know, it gives you like a 60-second countdown. How did people find or enjoy? This is the longest breakout room we've ever had. How did people think of the room? How did you guys think of it this time?
I think it was like reversed psychology, because usually we ask the question and then we have the answer, but now we were giving a statement and then we have to ask a question regarding this statement, and the person behind us or after us like giving another statement. So it was just a little bit reversed, but it was a good time, I think.
Anyone else have a different view or something to add?
It was good. I learned the Khwashra. So I never expected it had a different way to actually ask, or kosha and Khwashra.
Yeah. So you're learning conjugation.
Yeah.
بقان تمرقان وبصفيئة. Okay. I want to show you guys something. You guys can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this has come up in a couple of classes. People say, oh, I'm done. I did everything you asked me to do. I drop into the room. It's not just one person. This happened a couple of times. We did everything. There are on this screen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. There are 8 statements. There are 8 statements. It's super easy to generate at least 5 questions. At least 5 questions per statement. Let me just give you an example. You don't have to answer about word. You don't have to worry about answering, but I'll just give you an example. The first sentence, it's the shortest sentence we have. Mirs'alas. Mirs'ala. Mirkhajabs. Mirs'ala hamakhajabs. That's 3 questions right there. Now we know information about the second sentence. S'ala mitzar wasmansh. S'ala mitzar janti. S'ala mitzar satanai. Wasman s'ala. Wasman khajabs. Wasman s'ala hamakhajabs. Right? We're up to 8 questions right now. The trick is to use all those question words at the top of the screen. Khat wasman. Wasman s'alas. S'alar khat. S'alar wasmansh. Sit wasman. Wasman s'alas. Right? Wasman khajabs. Hawa. Wasman s'alas. Wasman dana. Wasman qalam sa'as. Wasman qazim sa'a. Hawa. Wasman qathatim yis. Hawa. Wasman qazim sa'as. Qalam sa'as. Sit suga. Qalam yidij. Bshajiz. Jas. Hawa bshajiz. Mahwa. Hawa bshajiz. Wasman wasman sheikhwe. Anta sheikhwesh. Sachhacha. Psikhwasha. Right? Wasman S'ala dabsa, zis alas. Wasman shalit, hawa, zis alas. So there's no limit, even though it's just very basic stuff, there's no limit to the number of questions that you can ask just based on what's on this screen. And then you can even say to each other, Mirpez, is this true? Wasman khajabs, hawa, arpezqim. All the vocabulary that you need to make any of those statements is on the screen. And I know it's a little tough, but the point is to get you thinking in this language. Right? So we're going to do more of this. And what I am going to do, I like, it's kind of like exercise. You know you're making progress if you're just a little bit uncomfortable. Never dangerous, but just a little bit uncomfortable. Okay? So give me 1 minute. My son has his Russian class. I have to go tell him to go online. Give me 1 minute. I'll come back and then I'll answer questions and we'll wrap up the class. So give me 1 minute. Wes. All right. Sorry about that. Satanai, you have a question.
Yes, I wanted to ask.
I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. He's right. Give me 1 second.
But now you can ask me if you want, if you like. Maybe I can answer.
Yes, sit shirwa. It says here when. Can we use it as what time?
Sit shirwa, no. Usually we don't use it for time. Sahadapsham.
Yeah.
Sahadapsham, we'll say.
Yeah, we wanted to come up with more questions for the Egypt stew shajij in our group. So we were just saying Egypt soup shajij hama jash.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know the other way you were asking. We forgot. So
The what time is it now?
It was like John T left again. Sorry, can you repeat it, please?
We wanted to say what time is it now?
سحداب شخوا. You mean time in terms of day or night?
Yes, in terms of like shajij, shahasha, jash, like that.
We just usually say how do you say actually that?
Like, Janti, what were the questions you were using for Egypt soup shajij? Instead of like saying Egypt soup shajij hama jash.
Yeah, that's a question. So the questions are a little forced that I'm asking because we have very basic vocabulary right now. But as Alina was saying, and I apologize, but we're all.
That's okay.
But okay. So sitsua means when in the abstract sense. There's not a specific time. If you're asking what time, sahat dabsha, as Alina said, sahat dabsha, how many hours? It's almost like Russian, vaskolka vremya. It's almost exact. Well, you guys don't speak Russian. Anyways, so sitsua is when in the not abstract, but there's not a specific time. When are you going? Later, tomorrow. Sahat dabsha, what time are you going? Sahat rut'um, at 2 o'clock.
So how do
what they meant, you know, it's
what part of the day is it?
To ask what
Oh.
Is it daytime? Is it evening? Or we actually don't say it like that.
We don't say it like that.
Okay.
We say is it like morning at your place? We actually don't use it anything else for that.
Yeah. Circassian's not good with abstract concepts. So what time of day? We wouldn't say what time of day. We would literally say
what they meant, it's like what time of the day. But
yeah,
we don't have it. We don't say
we don't say that. We don't say that. Questions, comments, concerns, pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary. This is the question time.
Janti, Osman Shay Khwish. If I wanna answer or answer the question, Osman Sit Yikhwe, is it correct?
It's not correct. What you'd want to say is Osman Sit where. Yeah.
Okay.
And adding that little R at the end, it's almost like saying, what is it that Westman wants?
Okay.
If you say Westman Sitwe, people will understand you, but it's not proper language. No one will not understand you, but it's not grammatically proper.
Okay. So
Westman Sitwe. Westman Sitqishtara. What is he taking?
Okay.
Okay.
Others? I have a question.
Yeah.
On the slide number 7.
I want to be able to see you guys. You guys all have the slides. That's why I stopped sharing. Go ahead. Slide 7.
7 down towards the bottom. Waqaboshta. The B. How does that come into play?
Every verb. Okay. In Circassian, there are 6 pronouns, just like in English. Well, in English, there's a you plural, but it's the same as you singular. So there's 6 pronouns: I, you singular, he, she, it, right? If you think of any table, he, she, it always has the same verb conjugation. We, you plural, they, them, right? So there's always, every language is structured like this. Almost every language is structured like this. We have like 6 major verbs: first person singular, second person singular, third person singular, first person plural, second person plural, third person plural. Other languages have other variations, but those are the major types of pronouns we have. Okay. Every verb in Circassian has a pronounal prefix that's designed to show you who is doing the verb. Okay, it's designed to show you who is doing the verb. In Circassian, sometimes the third person, singular and plural, don't have any prefix, but every verb has something there. Okay, so when I say saqzoshta, right, it shows the direction. It's a directional verb. Zo shows that I'm the one doing it. Bo means you are the one doing it, right? And then qay means it's a third person singular who's doing it. We don't have the plurals here, but the plurals have different prefixes as well. And there are some patterns to many of these verbs, but they're just things you have to learn over time. There's no pattern I could give. There's no pattern I could give you that would be worth learning or memorizing because the verbs are so unique. And then if I ask you these questions, if I ask you these verbs in question form, much of the time, these prefixes will change. That's why I built that verb conjugation table. And we're not going to memorize them. We're just going to use them over and over again. So for example, right? A lot of you have picked that up. That's if we were teaching using an old grammatical method, that would be super complicated. But we're not using an old grammatical method. We're using a conversational method where you're not thinking about that complexity. You're just speaking it. Just like Albert, you don't say, oh, I go, I went, I goed, I wented, I woe. You don't think about it. You just know, I go, I went. That's how we're learning.
Okay, back to that slide then, up where it says wawakwa.
Wawakwa.
You wouldn't say, well, why doesn't the B come into play in there? Why don't you say wawakwa?
Because the prefixes change also based on the verb tense. So present tense statements have one set of prefixes. Past tense and future tense often share a different set of prefixes. Question form often has a different set of prefixes again.
Okay.
We try to simplify things. We can't simplify this. This is just part of the language, unfortunately. Nilgun, do you have a question?
Shopping center is Shehwapa, right? Shehwapa.
You can say Shehwapa.
Shehwapa. When I say Nobe, Sere, Shishubkhore, Shehwapam, the Queno, the wait, to buy something. I mean, not Qashikhunu, no, Qashikhunu, right? Because we want to buy something.
So this is a great example. Okay, this is a great example. Nilgun is actually using what would be in another traditional method, lots of complexity of the grammar, but she's not thinking about it in terms of complexity of the grammar. She's just speaking the way that she's heard it. Okay, so Sara si shopkhomra shahwapum tukwanos. We're going to go. Sari si shopkhomra shahwapum tukwanos. We're going to go. What you said is nicer than that. What you said was Sara si shopkhomra shahwapum tukwanu dukwet. We would like to go. We would like to go. And then what you want to say now is to buy something. In order to buy something, you could say Zagwar qasakhunim shhacha. Zagwar qasakhunim papsa. Shhacha, papsa. Shhacha and papsa both means for.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
The whet wouldn't mean we wanted?
The khuyat we wanted.
Yeah.
The khuyat we would like. The khuyat we wanted or we had wanted.
Yeah, gotcha.
We had wanted. Okay.
Thank you for enlightening me.
Anytime. Anytime.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments, concerns, grammar, conjugation, vocabulary, khabza, no medical advice. No medical advice. Ziwar.
As I remember, in the Western dialect, you can just go lazy and add an A to the end of the statement or anything, and it will make it a question.
You can do that in Circassian.
We
You
have
can do that in
something with
Eastern too. You can do that in Eastern too. So for example, did you buy something?
Okay.
But here's the thing. It's always in the past tense, at least in Kabardian. I think also in Western, because if you're asking a question, right? If I'm saying, so in Kabardian, in Eastern dialect, are you buying something? Now, Albert is going to pick up, there's a different prefix here. It's P, not B. Are you buying something right now? So if I'm at the store with my wife and I see her at the cashier and she has her wallet out, right there in that moment, are you buying something? If she comes home from the store or she comes home, I don't know where she was, and she brings bags in, did you buy something? Past tense, right? I suspect, Ziwad, the grammar for both dialects is 99.9% the same. I'm not an expert in Western, but I'm barely an expert. I'm not even an expert in Eastern, but I suspect that what I described is probably the same in Western dialects as well.
For a statement as well, is it valid for the same? Like, is it hot today, or are you thirsty or something like this?
So here's the thing. In Eastern dialect, okay, I can say, in Western dialect, you guys don't add the sh to the end of your statements, right? So in Eastern dialect, there's three times we would add ush to a statement, right? If it's in the future tense, right? Ar right? So I am putting it in the future tense. I put it in the past tense. It's not a verb. It's just a statement that is here in mind. You guys don't do that for statements, and I forget what you guys do for past tense. Okay. However, you can always look at the verbal, you can always look at the pronoun prefixes to get a sense of what's going on in the question. Right? So if I say, was a means you did it. Was a right? And it's in the past tense. And if I say she bought something, ar zagwar so the when I ask you a sentence becomes qi, because I'm talking about her now. This is a little bit too complex. I think it's a little bit too abstract, but we can, if you have specific questions about this, you can send me a private message on WhatsApp. I'm worried that we might be confusing some other people.
So mostly if there is no ish at the end of something, it means maybe there's a chance that it's a question. But if there's it's ending with an ish, it's like a full statement, and then there's nothing with the...
Most likely, yeah. Most likely. If it's ending with an ish, it's probably not a question.
Not a question. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sorry, what's spokesperson again?
Shukwa.
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 Which the word is sh, which means man, and kwa, which means to go. So the guy, the man who goes, is your spokesperson, is your representative. And because we've built this concept of spokesperson or representative, I have a couple of different translations of the Quran in Kabardian. and they always translate Rasul to Fiqwa.
Isn't it بغمبارم usually, or is it's not correct? بغمبارم.
I've never heard that phrase. I have two high quality translations of the Quran that came out of Nalchik in the last 10 years. They both use Fiqwa as Rasul.
That's a Turkish word, Hamza.
Ah, Turkish بغمبارم.
I think it's peygamber in Turkish.
Peygamber. Yes, prophets.
Yeah.
بغمبار. Okay. Thank you.
The
So-
Qurans I have are all
Peygamber.
clean Kabardian. They're just, there's no foreign words in them at all.
Mm.
So is. Anything else, guys? Going once,
Thank you very much.
going twice. You're
Thank
welcome
you.
very much.
So
is. Have a good day, everyone.
تزرتغنش
sorry.
زرتاغنش على حمزي أم فوزنسو في الشت.
وزنش في شت فكة
فتشة.
فكة